worried I would have to force it into the playoff map pools. Like say, right guys, map 1 is this map, and no one likes it when you get a map forced on you completely, right? So I would like to avoid that if at all possible. I'd like to see it get played because it gets picked or vetoed and stuff. As bottom right side, we're going to start with our red Protoss player. This is MaNa from Team Liquid. Up against the blue Terran top right, Team Liquid's uThermal. As you get this up and running. Alright. Oh, so uThermal just comes out of, I'd say a long best of 5 against, a laser, but it was kind of like the first 2 games he lost were kind of long, and the other couple of games were pretty short. Then he kind of, the third game was long, but he was winning for a long time, right, which always feels good. And then the, and then the last 4 and 5 were just a speed run. So, yeah. That's the uThermal already playing a mind game, building stuff up to the top side here. Depot, racks, factory. Just making it a little tougher maybe for MaNa to scout. MaNa actually came in and scouted all the way in anyways. He didn't just go up the ramp and back away. He actually came all the way in. So now uThermal begins to wall off and says, yeah, okay, wall off here and go from there. Makes a lot of sense, of course. I think close spawns on this map is okay. The TvP... The only issue, I guess the only issue I have for MaNa is a third base has to come down here, but I don't think I hate it that much. Take down these rocks. I think it could be alright. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what MaNa does about a third base. If he even lets it go that far, he might just try and stop it sooner than that, right? There's a highway on this map? Yeah, there's like a road, right? I actually think the only part of this map which is going to be changed is going to be the texture in the main. It's going to have like a texture added to it, they said, so... Yeah, the main base is a little bit plain, but they're going to switch that up. So it will be, it won't be as dull in the main base, guys. I think otherwise it's actually pretty neat on the map. I actually think I like it. It's like not the sort of map that screams like, oh, this is super pretty. But it is kind of cool and fun to watch and look at, I think. I like it, at least, personally. Adepts defending in the center. We see 3 of them shading up to the top. MaNa's build choice is still just a second gateway, so really wanting to apply the pressure here as uThermal obviously went factory before he expanded, so he does have like a decent kind of setup with the Cyclone already coming in. CC will be delayed now, but I don't think that is necessarily too much of an issue either just yet. As those Adepts going to hang around. Well, CVs actually go down. uThermal now going to bring the Marines and the Cyclone through, so trying to push this back, defend against it a little bit. Cyclone does get a lock on. I'm just going to push the Adept away. He's just going to pick that off. Going to get a second Adept. Now 2 Stalkers warped in off that close-by pylon. I'm just going to be seeing the Marines going forward. Adept is going to go down, so Adept will fall. Cyclone, lock on still there, and the Adept just doesn't fall. Neither does the Cyclone. Cyclone might get jumped on by the Adepts now, and it will not go down right away. He just loses it. So one more Cyclone down here is just going to be seeing these Stalkers trying to keep up the pressure a little bit, trying to ping on forward. More SCVs dropping. Cyclone locking onto a Stalker as well. Stalker's still coming around again. Twilight Council continuing to build up a little bit. Just going through. Cyclone gets a little lock on. Just going to see the Stalker going to get picked off. And again, I mean, this has been a duel over the natural. We'll get this natural here in the end. Swallow and Robo finishing. One of the big things about this for MaNa is going to be, of course, that his tech is typically just late. And he's actually going to opt for the Dark Shrine. Because he's put so much into trying to attack and break through early, he's now going to turn that into a... now going to turn that into just kind of further aggression. And like I say, I mean, this is going to get really dangerous. Because if MaNa doesn't do much with these DTs, he is going to have, like, nothing to work with in this game. It's going to be really, really brutal. Two tanks load up, and they are going to start making a bit of a play down the right-hand side. I mean, uThermal just needs to have scans. He is going to start turrets at home. That's big. It means he's going to not need to save as many scans or use any scans at home. And that means you can put all your scans into continuing the attack and shutting down DTs here. I say shutting down DTs. There's still 20 seconds till DTs can even be made at the moment. Tanks drop back down. A few SCVs with this attack as well. Would just love to see this turn into, of course, a turret or so for sure. The scan at the front. The Stalker's still here. uThermal doesn't know yet what exactly is coming his way. And he's going to just start building bunkers. He will build a turret too, or at least he was going to. Then he stops. He pulls the SCVs to attack instead. That's just a mistake. He obviously wanted to build a turret. Well, MaNa has the potential to get DTs now. As we're going to be seeing the Nexus is going to fall. So you're down in natural expansion already. In which case, uThermal doesn't even need this position. He actually cancelled up the bunker already. So you let that disappear. Yeah, I mean, obviously MaNa's got the low ground expansion, but that's not really properly in play just yet, as the rest of these Stalkers wanting to come on through, wanting to try and fight this. DT is around. Turret trying to build. He's going to try and deny the turret. He's going to start swiping it, but actually the turret gets up, which means... Oh, the DT goes down, but the tank fire hit the turret. The turret's going to die, no repair. Well, 8 SCVs dead across the map. uThermal can just mine from the natural where he does have a turret. He doesn't really want to use scans in the main realistically, because if he can avoid that, it's even... Oh, Immortal just walked into this army too. MaNa going to type out game, and this is not going to work out for him. So game is called. And that is going to be our first map going the way of uThermal. So starting this map, or this time starting the series off with a game advantage. Here on the left-hand side, we're going to have our red Protoss player from Team Liquid. This is MaNa. He is down one map, of course, as we spawn in on Pride of Altaris. Only a two-player map, so we don't have to talk about potential spawns or anything for a little bit of a change. We've seen a good amount of four-player maps today. Obviously, just coming off of one of them, and there is another, I believe, guaranteed for this series as well. Tide Hunter's coming up again, right, is what I was talking about earlier, I think. Take you quickly through Pride of Altaris. Main, natural, choice of third bases, 4 bases easily taken realistically. This is a freestyle map because it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers of height, which is something very unique. That's not really a thing. And also 8 patches of gold minerals with full gases as well. So, kind of crazy. That's all part of a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bases each. So 9 bases each with all the rest of that. I was going to see a couple of SCVs chasing down, a little proby. So he gets set up early. Probably having a little bit of a move around. Gonna be a Twilight Council straight off the start this time. Nothing as fancy as last time, of course. A lot of that built around the spawns in the map, I imagine, more than anything else. Here's Camera watching. Indeed, he's having a little look at the watchtower in the middle. I kind of like the watchtower in the middle as well. Excuse me, guys. Just stretching my legs a bit, just stole someone's cam. As we like to do. Let me chill out a little bit, mix it up. It's been a long day, as mentioned before. Oh. Does this map play as good as it looks? So far, the games on this map have been decent, I gotta say. I think they've been pretty reasonable for the most part. I was really worried about the size of this map, but yeah, so far it's been good. Well, I would love to see how like a late game plays on this map, actually. You know, get a bit of insight as to how, you know, long games work on what is, like I say, a particularly large map. Yeah, no, it's been pretty fun. I think one of the cool things about this map when it's the 3 bases that I think we've talked about a couple times so far is the idea of this kind of 3 base is not like immediately easy to hold because it's not the most narrow ramp up into it, so it's pretty reasonable to kind of move up here, and you've got a bit of space between the nexus and the ramp, so you can't just like hold the ramp while being next to your nexus and batteries as easily. So it kind of makes this third a little more engageable, right? You can kind of fight into it a little easier and so on. It's not like super easy. It's not like, oh my god, how do you take this third? But it's also not just a complete freebie in my eyes. And we've seen that be very true in the games that we've seen thus far as well, for sure. It's definitely been a situation. Here come our couple of Widow Mines. Slow mowing in as the medevac boost is already faded away. I get one probe. The medevac is going to get shot down. That's the power of having Blink ready. This Widow Mine ain't dead, though. You can obviously see that he wants to Blink Micro out of the shot to clear the way there. Stimpak is on the way up from uThermal, so he's just playing into this 3 racks off the back of the factory and the starport, so one of the more standard openings, kind of on both sides, really. I mean, you can see from MaNa 4 gates and blinks, so he's going to be a bit more aggressive, but, I mean, not the slowest to third bases behind it either, right? You know, oftentimes with a 4-gate blink, you can see, like, a 6-minute third base, then the RoboBay and all the rest, so this definitely could have been significantly later. Additional Stalkers warp in. uThermal defensively, I think this map's fine defensively. There's a lot of direction to go from here to here and up a ramp as well. He might blink on top of this first tank. SCVs will pull. A lot of uThermal's defense was in the main. I guess it's a long way to go from the main to the natural for the defender as well as it is for the attacker. So it kind of works in 2 ways, I suppose. Yeah, working in a couple of different ways for sure as we do see uThermal losing a bit of the defense at the front. Will MaNa change the attack into the main base at all? uThermal is, what, about 30 seconds from stim, I'd imagine. And with being 30 seconds from stim, I do expect, as he loses +1 attack, I do expect that's going to be the point at which this gets properly turned around. Still no future tech from MaNa at home, no movement into charge, no RoboBay, just the 3rd Nexus. So, still not really seeing anything along the lines of a, like I say, something to really tech up in the game, and that has me a little worried as well, I suppose. Just in case uThermal does get all these upgrades, and then MaNa's defending quite simply with, well, Blink Stalkers and truly nothing more. That can absolutely be problematic. Stalker's going to pull back home now. MaNa, actually a good read on when to back away. I like the Prism sticking around, though. Obviously gives you a little bit of opportunity. Gives you a choice to counterattack if uThermal's base is barren, which actually might be in a moment. Bunker salvaging up, uThermal ready in his attack. He wants to push, he wants to make use of his upgrades. We knew that was going to happen. MaNa knew this was going to be a thing. Oh my goodness, the Widow Mine drop just got 11 probes, so that's actually a really bad start for this of MaNa. At the same time, you see these few Stalkers are going to come in as expected. A little bit of a bio army stimming through. This Bioforce now just, again, arriving. I'm actually terrified for MaNa. If I mean, the only good thing for MaNa is he denied the engineering base, so he stopped +1, but uThermal just stims up into the natural. MaNa's completely out of position. One thing I think I've really noticed in this game, these bases are very far away from each other, right? Anti-armor missile lands on the Immortal. A couple of Zealots running through mines, which are starting to be targeted. uThermal lifts to get out of there. He's going to go to the third. I mean, he sacrifices a lot of units here to do this, but he will get a lot of damage done on the third base before this is handled. I mean, 18 workers now dead in the game. uThermal, like I say, trades a lot of economy for it, but Blink has to be used to get there. And as Blink has to be used to get there, we are going to be seeing that uThermal has time to lift up and get away. I kind of wonder, I mean, uThermal, I didn't mind him running the nat, but I feel like maybe he could have stood and fought a little bit more. I think the lack of a +1 attack upgrade there, if he had +1 attack, and again, that went down to those Stalkers initially, that could have changed a lot. I wonder if MaNa just picked the wrong base. Is this base not easier to hold? You kind of put your army here, whereas I don't know, it feels like this base just is so far out. Big counterattack from MaNa coming through. Bunker falls. uThermal trying to make sure he's got the units here to survive. Remember, he's still got the drops on the map, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere, maybe, possibly. I actually think they've just come back home and they're still up in the main base. Okay, well, MaNa making something happen right away here. uThermal's going to have to retreat back up into the main. Looks like MaNa actually might do this on the counterattack. Wow, MaNa. uThermal just gave up a bit too much army with the move up into that natural and so on, and that cost him big time. Good effort from MaNa. Big. Top left-hand side, our blue Terran player is uThermal. From Team Liquid, of course. Team Liquid showdown here in these playoffs. Bottom right, we do have our red Protoss player, MaNa, as we get set up in this series. 1-1 tied up in the best of 5. Cross spawns on Tidehunter. Cross spawns here on the map is gonna make it kind of a large map, right? So we've had a 4-player map with close spawns. Now we've got a 4-player map with cross spawns. Kind of like it. I kind of like it. How are these players chosen? But for the overall tournament, I mean, this is obviously just the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, for the tournament, I just kind of invite a few players. Like, he mixed up the races. Kind of went for who I think are kind of some of the best players in Europe/Korea for each region. / players who I know are usually down to play this sort of size of tournament. And, yeah, I know some players don't kind of bother themselves with stuff when it gets a bit weird or different or awkward and so on, so yeah, just kind of mixing it up a little, you know? But yeah, these are just invites, and it is kind of just based off my own opinion / you know, I talked about this the other day, but I kind of have, like, in my head, like, a list of players that sort of play a little, that I kind of go to a little bit more often than others, simply because they play in a lot of my stuff and all that kind of stuff, you know? And, yeah, uThermal and MaNa definitely guys who say yes to more tournaments than they say no to, and that definitely helps them get invited to more stuff as well, you know? Well, it's funny because we've seen Tidehunter so much in, you know, today it's almost like we're just playing like the normal ladder map pool, and this map's popular. Like I say, it was the least played map coming into today, and today it's being played a good chunk as well. So yeah, it is being played a good chunk, which is really nice just to kind of bring it up to kind of on par with the other maps, so big fan of that. I think that's very exciting and very cool. Hey, Grown Mime, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Says thanks again for your amazing effort, Wardy. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Appreciate the donation. Especially at the closing hours of what's been a long day. Tomorrow's going to be long as well, by the way. Tomorrow we have TLMC Korea to start the day, and then ESL Open Cup Europe in the evenings. Tomorrow's going to be another, like, 10-hour day or something. It's going to be a big one, as we say. That is for sure. Lots of Starcraft, though. It's always, I mean, you can't complain about that. It's always a good thing. As we get ready to go, a Dark Shrine is building at the moment. The extra gates coming through. We're just kind of getting going with this DT opener. So, MaNa keeping it different. uThermal, in terms of info, has been up, and he saw the Twilight early, so he's got to expect a possibility of DTs. I'd say the only reason you'd not think DTs is maybe because, like, well, MaNa tried that once this series, but that was off a weirder opener, so I don't think it's good enough to just say, oh yeah, I'm just going to turn this around or anything, you know? The Cyclone pops out, so uThermal not really having a starport here, right? He's playing this kind of, you know, Racks Factory, extra racks. So that means that you are going to be in a situation where you are not going to have a, you're not going to have a starport, so you can't get a Raven or anything. So that's something to think of. uThermal's still trying to pick up information with these Hellions early. Definitely one of the reasons to have those Hellions up and to keep them going. Just gives you a lot of info, a lot of stuff to work with. And that charge is about halfway done here from MaNa, as you just see the Hellion heading down the bottom right-hand side. Forge is building, the charge about halfway done as mentioned previously. Waiting for our DTs. One of them's going to walk into this natural. Turrets can build in a moment. Good first scan. Turrets can build in a moment. The double cyclone's actually really neat here, because what the double cyclone does is it basically allows you to stop the prism from getting in. So if you try to prism in any DTs to the main, this is just going to act as a defense, and pretty substantially so. So yeah, that's should be kind of fine. This is another nice catch. Another DT goes down instantly. If you can get the scans up to turn this into a counterattack, then MaNa is generally going to be in trouble, because that's a lot of DTs invested that just didn't do much yet. So yeah, it's a decent setup for uThermal. Definitely a promising start here for game number 3 on Tidehunter. It's a massive map though, so if you do want to attack across, I mean all these 4-player maps feel big cross spawn. If you do want to attack across, that's something to keep in mind. It might take a little while to get there. I actually don't think it's the biggest map to go across. But it is still just naturally on the larger scale, just because 4-player maps kind of need to be on the larger scale. Shadow Stride coming through too. MaNa really going to play around these DTs. uThermal, how many scans are we talking? 1 scan, 2 scans saved up. By the time he gets there, he's probably thinking, by the time those scans are used, you definitely have 2 more. I mean, the thing is, these DTs are just going to go all together as well. They're not really looking to bait out scans or anything too, so... yeah, here we go. He actually scans once. There's 1 scan bait. He's got the SCVs. He can build turrets too. I like what MaNa's doing. 1 scan at a time. Saves the DT as well. Obviously revealing a little bit the idea of what the plan is. uThermal, how close are we to the additional scans? DTs, one of them are going down already. uThermal's going to go back towards the turrets. And MaNa didn't quite realize the turrets were there. He lost 1 more Dark Templar already. uThermal trying to find a good little split between trying to deal with these DTs and staying next to the turret a little bit, right? I mean, he wants to push in and deal damage. I mean, now you can start step turrets if you've already got the position set up. Does MaNa have anything across the map? Not really. You can warp in from here, but that's about it. He has Zealots and he has DT, so here we go for the fight. Marines are going to stim again. Remember, the more that these Marines stim, there's no healing, so the lower HP they just get time after time, but I think it doesn't matter. Well, extra Zealots showing up. More Marines in the back are going to stim now as well. Stutter stepping around the turret to minimize the surface area that these Zealots can gain. Another tank just went down. 19 workers killed as MaNa busts through. uThermal has 26-3 army supply. That might not be the position to warp in on, because uThermal sees it right away, but the Zealots do get through. Marines are finding a new tank showing up. Right now, you kind of want the Zealots to hit the tank, because you kind of just want it to, well, quite literally tank the damage. MaNa now losing a lot of workers himself. 7 army supply, warping in DTs here. No scan. Scan's too late. uThermal's going to get held off. GG, MaNa is going to hold. Wow, that's a hell of a hold. That did not look like it was going to be easily done in the slightest. But MaNa makes it happen, goes up 2-1 in this best of 5. If you want to support, you can support for free by downloading and playing World of Tanks. Play through the tutorial, play the first game, and you do support the stream directly with that as well. Every download counts, so we don't have to hit 100 goals for it to support the channel, but 100 goals is when we can run a Starcraft 2 tournament with the downloads. But if you want to check that out, !tanks, just a little something as we dive on into game number 4. Let's see what happens. In the lead in the top left-hand side, our Red Protoss player from Team Liquid. It is MaNa. On the right side, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid as well. His teammate, of course, is uThermal. We get cross spawns again here on Undercity, another of these four-player maps. Hey, Skillers, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. MaNa uThermal here in the playoffs of the WardiTV Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament. So yeah, cross spawns. I mean, this map is a bit bigger, I think, cross spawn-wise, than the other map. One thing about Undercity, I think this kind of works best as a four-player map because you do have the choice of third base, left or right, and they're both kind of equally okay to take. Obviously, it's so basically, if you get close spawns and stuff, you can still kind of take either one. They're not easily broken down, I'd say. Yeah, I feel like this map actually works almost the best out of the four-player maps we do have in the map pool for this event. I think it's grown on me as my favorite. I'm still kind of not quite convinced we need four-player maps. And especially just because, I mean, this map is just big. At least it's only 4 bases on each corner, right? So it's 16 bases on the map, not like 10 or something. Or 20, sorry. Yeah, I think this is like probably my favorite bid for a 4-player map if one was to make the map pool. I still just wonder about the size of it when you have cross spawns. So I guess this game will be pretty interesting for us to see a little bit of how this sets up, etc. That's our Marine. Nibbling on the simulator. As MaNa set up a gas steal early. I mean, uThermal just says, cool, I'm going to play 3 racks then. Don't need the gas for that as much anyway. Should have done a double gas steal. Double gas steal's a bit rough. A bit hard to do. Usually the gas is already there for the Terran player, you know. Usually they already have 1 gas. Council is about to finish and a blink already starting up. So getting blink on the way. So far so good. I mean, just stimming combat chill off this 3 racks. MaNa knows about it as well, so he knows what he's playing against. The Marines got across the map though, and no shield battery. A sentry and a stalker already going down. An unexpected attack will land a couple of probe kills. 3, 4, maybe 5? 5, not bad at all. 5 workers is a hell yeah. Five workers is a hell yeah. It's a good amount of damage done. And especially to get a sentry and a stalker off the back of it as well. Also helps a lot. So uThermal, successful first few Marines, and I wonder now what a follow-up attack will look like if he goes with the 3 racks, if MaNa can, sustain an army good enough to deal with that larger attack. Cross spawns will definitely help him defensively in that regard. I guess we shall see. Fire Force gathering in the natural. And so that's going to be one of the things as well. Large map means a lot of time for these stalkers to slow it down going across the map as well, right? So definitely something else to keep in consideration. Maybe it gives MaNa a lot of time. Oh, I kind of like this. He's going to go around. So these stalkers obviously holding the watchtower, and then they're moving around the left a bit, but the army's actually around the right. So MaNa is missing this completely. And this little play from uThermal going to take longer to arrive, but MaNa's going to be in the unknown. And if MaNa attacks, uThermal's already setting up a second bunker to try and help him with this. Okay, Stalker's actually going to find this now. That's a big find. They can blink away. uThermal doesn't have concussive shells to slow this down at all. Stalkers continue to warp in a little bit. Everything kind of gathering up together here, and now Bio Army still in the upper right is just kind of on a bit of a journey, right? Still hanging there, still waiting for the chance to essentially come through and backstab a little bit. So expecting to see that a little bit here as Stalkers get ready to be aggressive. MaNa off these 4 gates has been held back from attacking thus far. And he's got the sentries in his prisms as well, so he wants to drop the force field on the ramp. He will get a force field. uThermal will have to sit back a bit. His army from the top right will now start moving to the upper left as well. Trying to establish that as our Bio Army continues to settle down. It looks as though uThermal is getting a decent hold. I mean, he's losing quite a few SCVs from this. 11, 12 workers going down. 14 workers going down, but here he is across the map, and this was part of the reason he doesn't have a lot at home, as he has these units that can obviously, run in, and they're doing some damage. SimCity will work for uThermal a bit as well. He gets the prism, so he removes counter-aggression a lot as well with this attack. This is nice, because he's going to get a couple more zealots and maybe even a few final probes at the very end here. There's a couple low HP. This is now 15 probes lost for MaNa, so this is working wonders. 16 probes go down. Good counterattack. Was obviously set up a good while ago. Good usage of the setup there. Well played by uThermal. He knew he would take some damage, but he knew he had a big way to, counter damage as well. And he really put that to use as now we unload here, and this pylon gonna go down. We might get a second match of the playoffs to go to a 5-game series as well, which would be once more pretty darn cool. Definitely be down for that. uThermal definitely taking a nice setup for the moment. Let's see what more he can do. MaNa has this base bottom left, by the way, so hidden third. uThermal might start thinking about that given how things are timing out a little bit here. Obviously now you're like, well, you still don't have a third at 8 minutes. Surely that's a bit weird, right? And so things start to, start to think about things. Things start to click a little bit. Natural doesn't have a lot, by the way, considering he's also got a drop coming into the back of the natural. MaNa can't really split the units properly to deal with this. I mean, just repercussions from how the earlier portion of the game played out. Colossus is going to pop. Can you actually use this Colossus? If it spawns backwards, might just be okay to stay alive. Don't think then uThermal would be able to jump on it. Man, that Colossus is taking forever to spawn. He is not going to get on top of it, uThermal, but everything else is dying. So it's only the Colossus, and as the units spread out, they can spread out effectively and really just deal with this. 30 workers going down. And uThermal is going to have game 4 in the bag. So uThermal, the 4th. It's 2-2. It's tied up. And our final map is in the bottom right. Our red Terran player from Team Liquid. In this Team Liquid Doom Girl, it is uThermal. Up against the blue Protoss in the top left corner. It is MaNa. Alright, so, as we get ourselves underway, the beautiful Enchanted Down is beautiful, if nothing else. This map has got some wonderful aesthetics. This SCV is going to take a bit of a step up to the top. Will engineer and bay block, so wants to slow down MaNa, taking a natural to begin with. Obviously, this means he'll probably go for a factory initially. It's about to finish up. And the first Marine on the way through. Orbital Command is building. Getting that up and ready to roll. Nothing too surprising. Oh, just yet. Tractor is on the way. Zealot building. Sniper Core on the way up. Obviously, you've got to get a Zealot because you kind of need to deal with this Engineering Bay, right? So, it's got full HP on it, though. This is like one of the most frustrating Engineering Bays you can have. Because now it's going to take a long-ass time to take this down. You probably tech before you actually expand here. And typically, you can Twilight before you expand if you want to. I mean, Twilight, I think. Sometimes a Stargate can be a reasonable way to go about things in this situation as well. I don't think Stargate is ever really a bad option in this sort of situation. Allows you to get on the map and put some pressure on. It kind of makes sense behind a later Nexus too, where you might not be able to afford gateways as early. All that kind of stuff, so the speeding up of a Twilight doesn't maybe always make as much sense. As the Engineering Bay cancelled, you can just see the speed at uThermal's expansion compared to MaNa's. uThermal actually did expand before Factory as well, so if MaNa doesn't do anything about that, I worry a little bit. SCV, he's going to actually see the pylon when he's on his way up with the SCV there, so then the Marines know which way to turn. They were already coming down this way. Yeah, I think he realized something was maybe about to happen. He's now going to try and zone out the Stalker a little bit. See if he can. He just wants to get rid of the pylon. He wants to make sure this isn't going to become a problem. And actually a little supply block behind this as well. Just as Warp Gate finishes, so might slow down some unit production. Products facility building up. Twilight Council completes. Probe heading back home. I mean, this game's going to settle down until at least we see some tech on the map. I guess uThermal might be setting himself up for that Widow Mine drop initially. So yeah, a little bit of a Widow Mine drop. Very standard stuff, obviously, as Blink comes through. Whatever MaNa wanted to do with this pylon has not quite worked out for him at this far, at least. Well, probe patrolling. Blink is on the way. It's going to be seeing a few additional Stalkers of MaNa continue to warp in as well. Server pops out, going to start going on a little bit of a journey to the map. Comes this medevac drop, so I'm gonna go for a little bit of a Widow Mine in. Blink is not done yet, so can't jump on top of this medevac as quickly as you might sometimes like to. That's definitely something to keep in mind here as well, I think. The rocks have rechargeable shields? No, no, no. They're just rocks that have a different, you know, they're just a different, like, animation of rocks, you know? Nothing, nothing crazy, nothing too ridiculous about it. Just, you know, different rocks to, you know, fit with different aesthetics and all that kind of stuff. Brings the Raven into the main, just gonna be seeing everything still settling down. How's that Templar Archives going to be finishing in a few moments' time? Again, Forge coming up, and a lot of build-up this game, friends. A lot of build-up, a lot less action. It's definitely a map that's meant to play a bit slower, and it definitely is playing a little bit slower thus far. Storm is on the way from MaNa, so just getting himself into that. First time we're going to see Storm in the series, right? It has been a popular thing to kind of play into Storm as your initial kind of splash damage. That's been more popular lately in this PvT matchup. So yeah, definitely players like Trap and Zest using this a substantial amount as We have Stim, Combat Shield, +1 attack, all of that continuing through uThermal. Gonna start dropping, so he's gonna choose the dropping path to kick off this 5th game. It's gonna go a little bit drop crazy, I imagine, for the foreseeable future. Obviously still has that Widow Mine drop setup as well, so just something that maybe can come in at a later point. One thing that uThermal always loves to do is to keep units on the map and keep medevacs and drops on the map, because he knows that that forces a reaction and an investment of units from the opponent as well. Widow Mines are going to get burrowed up. The probes didn't pull right away. 3 workers go down. So the medevac fell. I mean, a couple workers going down. uThermal setting up on the same side as he's dropped the mines, but he's dropping the medevacs into the main, so maybe he can take a fight out of this. Anti-arm missile hits all the Zelds, which don't have charge yet, by the way. A massive deficit for MaNa. The Widow Mine hit perfectly as well. Oh no! What a way for things to fall apart in an instant right there. That is actually brutal. MaNa just falls apart in an instant, and uThermal takes it 3-2.